So we're back here at Disruptor HQ. If you do this right, you can make $1 million. Last year, I made over $1 million doing exactly what I'm gonna show you right now. Personally, I've had several $1 million come in, and I have seen hundreds of people try to do this and fail. So I'm going to break down the 3 things that you need to know step by step to make sure that you maximize your income potential when getting into the info product space. I'm gonna give you every step of the way so that you know exactly what you need to do so that you can make $1 million next year. I made $1 million last year. I'm gonna do twice as much this year. This is the blueprint if you wanna make $1 million running information products. So there are 3 things we're gonna cover. First, we're gonna talk about what type of content should your information product actually have. If it's just, well, I've got some videos that are pre-recorded and some Notion docs, great! Your definition of success is a fraction of what you could be earning. The second thing we're gonna cover is how to make it better than any course. There is a reason why people talk smack on courses all the time. And if you really wanna make money, you need to understand these finer points. And the last thing we're gonna cover is probably the most important. It is monetization strategy. How do we take this work and turn it into this money? How do we take these hours that you put in and turn it into millions of dollars that you could be earning? And I've helped plenty of people do this for themselves. And the most important thing we're gonna get down to today is what is your hour actually worth? How do we turn it from a couple $100s to $10,000 to $20,000? That's what this is all about. So with that being said, buckle up, everybody. Hold on to your butts. Keep your hands inside the vehicle at all times, and let's go! All right, now before we get started today, because I want to probably talk like a mile a minute, don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell and get the notifications and all of the things down here. And one more thing, there's the QR code for the Facebook Ads MBA program. This is the flagship offering from Disruptor School. I've had hundreds of people go through it and everybody's ever asked for a refund. And what I'm going to show you today is how I've been able to take something so strong and make millions off of that, and how to make it so good that nobody's ever asked for the money back. We're going to get down to the structural integrity and ultimately the monetization and what you need to put in it so that you can do this once and it will pay for years. That's what it's all about. So let's get into it.
Also, stick around to the end to see what I bought.
So the first thing we're going to cover today is content type recommendations. Now, I've seen other courses. I've gotten the DMs on Instagram where people are trying to sell me other people's courses in their swipe file. I've seen the folks go on to any number of websites, and more often than not, what we see is folks with a strong personal brand who probably don't do the work reading off a script to get some pre-recorded video that is kind of out of date and then selling that to the masses. I got really upset at these folks about 4 years ago because I was sick and tired of people being taken advantage of, and I built my first course. It's how to build a winning Facebook ad account, which you can still get on Disruptor School, and it is baked into the Facebook Ads MBA program. And to be completely fair, that course was literally just, I was walking my dog one day and made like 9 Instagram reels, and they blew up so much I was like, screw it. I'm gonna record a 45-minute video for each one of these things and sell it. And I sold it for $2,000 a pop. And it fundamentally changed a lot of people's lives as well as my own, and was something that helped me go all in because I realized a lot of lessons from that. And I also understood where all the shortcomings were. So with my own experience, and to be completely fair, I think I sold a couple dozen of those in the first month that I launched. It allowed me to quit my job because I made my annual income from my side hustle in like 30 days. And I was getting married 30 days after that, and I was like, screw it. And I told my mom, I'm quitting all of my jobs and I'm going all on myself. And she's like, you just got married, you're quitting your job? I'm like, yeah, I also paid for this wedding in cash. And I've never looked back. So the first thing that I really want to emphasize here is that you have to focus on changing lives, not just providing information. Anybody can provide information. Information itself is a commodity. And there are 4 things that we need to focus on here. These are the principles to your content type. These are the 4 principles to the content type that separates the folks that make millions and the folks that make 50, 60, 100,000 and think they've hit the jackpot. The first thing that we need is executable documentation. It's one thing to just talk to people about how they should be thinking about stuff, but if you're not giving me some sort of worksheet or some sort of guidebook or some sort of checklist, if I don't get to tactfully take pen to paper or open up an Excel or get into something, if I don't get to experience it and interact with it, then basically it's probably about the same quality as whatever you put up on YouTube. We need to make learning tangible. I have to be able to print it off and run it with my pen. I want to open up Excel and be smarter. I want to be able to take what you're telling me and the information that you're giving me and take action on it immediately. My definition of success, having taken your course, should be that I have something to show for my level of effort besides just how I feel about how smart I am. Every single information product that I've put out includes, quite literally, an entire suite of documentation that you'll get out of it, whether it is this vast forensic version of an Excel spreadsheet or like a book that you'll be able to print out yourself and be able to hand to anybody. Because one of the things that we're trying to show here when we're giving an information product isn't just that, oh, I'm going to teach you something that I know. It's that somebody giving you money to learn this stuff is also going to be able to take that knowledge and pass it on to somebody else. One of the biggest things that we do in Disruptor School with every single one of our master classes is we come with the ethos of this. I want to take the master class. I want to know this information. And more importantly, I want to be able to hand what you've taught me to somebody on day one and give them your lesson with your executional documentation and know that something that's going to move my business forward can be checked off the list. Every single masterclass in Disruptor School accomplishes that task. There's a reason that they're so successful and that they're so sought after, and why even ones that were made years ago are still bought and sold every single day. The second thing that I really want to encourage you here is to have interactive elements. If it is one-way communication, then I don't really need to care about you. And that's a very important thing. Remember that whenever you've learned something, you probably wanted to ask a question or take a test or have some sort of feedback loop. If you don't have that, if you don't care about me and you're my teacher, why should I care about you? And the honest truth is, if I don't get a feedback loop, I'm gonna be going out and seeing who already went through what you have and can give me this swipe file for 50 bucks. I'm not paying you $1,000 or $2,000. And that's just human nature. If you don't have anything of value to give me other than your knowledge, I'm gonna go find somebody else that already has your knowledge. It'll sell it to me secondhand. That's not even like really ripping anybody off. That's like buying a book, using it, and then selling it to somebody else. There's really no difference. I don't even feel that there's that much of an ethical problem with this. It's just ultimately, if you don't protect yourself by making what you have valuable enough for somebody to care, then you also understand that you are telling your audience that they shouldn't give you the money. Another thing that I've seen in basically every information product that earns millions instead of thousands is some sort of live component. Let me actually engage. Let me actually see something that wasn't pre-recorded by somebody else a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 ago. It is incredibly low touch for you to add a weekly or a monthly class. Why not have a Q&A session or webinars, or allow people to ask you questions and then you can reply one to many and provide information for everyone. Inside the Facebook Ads MBA program, every single module that we have, because there's dozens of courses, every one of them has a comment section. And I'm able to reply to people's questions in that comment section. And what it means is the people that ask questions over years are informing other individuals, because inevitably someone's got a question, and almost assuredly one of the hundreds of other people that's already been there has asked the same thing, and they're able to get answers without having to need my time or wait. That is invaluable. Another thing that we have inside the Facebook Ads MBA program is weekly classes. You can get on camera with me once a week. It takes 1 hour out of my week to provide value to hundreds of people. And those calls, they're all recorded, which is something we'll talk about in a little bit. All right, so really what we're doing is we're providing a dynamic learning experience. Otherwise, there is a reason that people go to college instead of just the library. Because if there's no one to teach me and there's no place for me to ask questions, why am I leaving my house? Why am I not just getting a book delivered and I can teach myself If that was the trick, then we would never have any institution of higher learning ever. There's a reason that people want it. And to be fair, there's a reason that people who take advantage of it are far more successful. Almost everybody I know who's successful has engaged in this in one way or another, whether it's college or some sort of community aspect, which honestly brings us to part 4. Work on building a community. Let people belong. There's an emotional attachment to going from being somebody in your living room on your laptop to being one of many on a journey together. Now, there are a lot of places that can do this. You can have a Slack group, you can have a Facebook group, you can do this on Kajabi, you can be in school. There's a million different tools, and we'll get to all of those in a little bit. But the ability for students to interact with each other, the ability for people that have bought your product to converse with each other ultimately makes the value of what you're teaching more powerful, because people that have learned from you can discuss and ultimately provide and generate and create new knowledge above and beyond what you're talking about. And the application of your lessons to solve multiple problems because people have applied it and then learned and adapted and then share that back makes what you have infinitely more valuable. One of the most beautiful things about the Facebook Ads MBA program, not only in that comment section where everybody gets to see it, is also we have a premium mastermind group in there, right? And so there's people that have been in for years, and you can see questions going back forever. And when you have a problem, there's somebody else that is probably also facing that issue that might be a week ahead of you, a month ahead of you, a year ahead of you. And because we're always referencing the same material, everybody's using the same documentation, the same nomenclature, using the same systems and processes, then somebody has already solved the problem that you have. And also, when you solve a problem, you can explain that solution to somebody else. And one of the greatest ways of learning is to give away your knowledge, because if you can explain it to somebody else, that reinforces your ability to understand it. And once you understand it well enough to explain it to anybody, that also means that when you hire somebody to do the work for you, you already have the reps of teaching other people. The point is, this is a compounding value flywheel, and if you're not putting into your information product, you're throwing money away and making your information disposable. So the main takeaway here is, don't just share information, give me something that's executable so that I can have value and tactile response. Not only that, let there be some interactive elements as well as live pieces that are available, because otherwise I could literally just download your work and sell it to literally anybody else. There's no protection, there's no moat. You're allowing somebody else to take your information product and steal the vast majority of the revenue that it will generate, because you are no longer in control of the cash flow. You are allowing somebody else to steal from you, and you could have easily made yourself impervious by providing value in a way that also shows people that you care. And one of the other fantastic ways of doing that is building a community. So before you go ahead and sell that info product, I want you to take a look at, like, great, you understand this, how can you prove it to me? And more importantly, you understand it, how can you share that with somebody else? And if you have questions about what you've seen here, how do I make it available for you to get that answer from me in a way that builds a moat around all of us doing this together? The second thing we're going to talk about here is how to make it better than any course. Because really, an information product should be above and beyond in value. Otherwise, again, it's a disposable commodity where anybody that's paid you once can take that and sell it to 100,000 people, and you'll never see a penny. And to be fair, there's no reason for anybody to buy from you when they can go to get somebody else, because you never baked in any value above and beyond the information itself. I want you to ask yourself a question of the last time that you took some online learning. And what made it feel memorable and valuable? What made it feel like you had an emotional attachment to the experience, not just some sort of transactional appreciation for the knowledge? So something that's really important when we're trying to make our efforts above and beyond is the personalization. Remember, there's an emotional attachment that people need to get from you. One of the things that I talk about in Disruptor School in the Facebook Ads MBA program all the time is what I'm personally doing. I'm sharing you my story. I'm not just saying, here's information. So I'm letting you know what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now, which allows you to experience it with me and ultimately find some way to relate to it in your own way. And that massively improves the ability for you to trust what I'm saying, because I've actually done it myself. And anything that I teach in the Facebook Ads MBA program, I only share it when I've done it dozens of times. The information is inarguable. I'm just sharing principles of the similarities of the dozens of wins so that you can replicate that and adapt and find success for yourself. Another thing that we have to touch on, and I know we talked about it before, but we need to stress this point, is you have to go above and beyond videos and documents. If everything that you are selling can fit into a swipe file, then you have no reason for me to buy it from you. And that's the real world we live in. Piracy is a very real thing, right? Like, if I can literally dub a cassette off the radio, why am I buying the album? And for folks that are like not 40 like me, who like remember dubbing cassettes and like burning CDs and shit, let me put it to you this way. Why am I gonna buy the song from iTunes if it's on Spotify? If your information has no more intrinsic value and protection than a song on iTunes, don't expect to get any more money than a play on Spotify, because you don't deserve it. Because you're not providing anything above and beyond that. And that's just the cold, hard truth that most people won't tell you. So figure out some way to have interactive experiences. Gamify the situation, give feedback, build communities, do something so that it's above and beyond just some sort of swipe file. Like, just, I don't know about you, but I get DMs every single day from folks that drop the $200 on so-and-so's course and sell it for $50, and they sell hundreds of them. Like, there's an entire black market of drop shipping stolen information products, and to be completely fair, there's no way to stop it. And if your information can be stolen that simply because you're not providing enough value for anybody to actually emotionally connect on what you're doing or give a damn about talking to you, then you deserve to be stolen from. That's a harsh take, but that's the truth. And the last thing I want to talk about here is something we teased a little bit earlier and solves all of the problems about people ripping you off. Have continuous updates. Have continual progression of the material. In the Facebook Ads MBA program, we have lectures every single week. Those lectures every single week also have Q&A sessions. Those Q&A sessions and lectures ultimately produce written material. Now, AI is writing a lot of it, but most people just sit there and they watch all of the stuff. So if you were to get a swipe file of literally everything in the program in a month, you will have missed hours. So if you went into the MBA program right now and downloaded every single possible thing you ever could, in a month you'd be missing hours of content. Thousands of words. In 6 months, what most people sell as a course, you would be missing 10 times that. Because the information itself is designed to evolve and adapt. Basically, as long as you're in school, you can be learning more things. And the ability for people to show up every single week and ask questions means that you're also rewarded for being a student, because you're getting to see how other people are thinking. You're getting to see how you would solve other people's problems. You're getting to get your questions asked by the person you actually want to talk to. How many times have you bought a course and never been able to actually get feedback from the person on the screen? What if that never had to happen? And as the information provider, what costs me an hour a week allows me to provide 10 times more value than most people when they spend months producing one piece of content. Force multiply that over years and literally no one can compete. There is no way you can rip me off. You would literally have to be in there on a consistent basis every single week, stealing every single thing, and then going back to all of your other people and updating all. It doesn't make sense. The level of effort and to be fair, the size of the swipe file, like, I have thousands of hours. And what if you have a question? Well, now that swipe file is completely useless. And there's a lot of folks that will say, well, yeah, if you have a question, just go ahead and book consulting time with me. Do you really want to be selling your time for a couple $100 an hour? What if you made your information so good that people didn't need to buy your time? They could wait until you're available in that community that you built around your information product, where you show up once a week, and then they'll pay 10 times as much just to be able to talk to you once. And if they actually do want your time, instead of charging a couple $100 an hour, you could be charging a couple thousand. When I open up my calendar, I'm not available for less than $2,500. And quite literally, that sells out so fast that I am being forced to consider, am I even gonna open up my calendar again? And if so, it's gonna have to be like $5,000 or $10,000 an hour, because there are people where if they talk to me for 1 hour, for $10,000, that will make enough of a change in their business where if they make an extra $1,000 a day, if they're gonna make an extra $1,000 a day, they need a week and a half to ROI up the conversation with me. And there's a dozen folks that are willing to do that. So a way of making yourself more accessible. And a way of making more money is to make sure that your information product grows and adapts and there's some sort of access to you. Otherwise, again, there's no reason the people just won't steal it from you. And to be fair, there's no reason they shouldn't. I'm not trying to just justify all the piracy out here, but as a musician that grew up using Napster and going out on the road, I understand both sides of the argument. I know that Metallica got super butthurt that everybody was on Napster stealing their stuff. I also know that the artists who were most downloaded on Napster saw a massive uptake of all of their merchandise and lifetime value in their earnings. When you democratize access to the information, people will pay more money to get closer to and get more from the people that they love. Why not let them do that? To be fair, this is another reason why I love my YouTube channel, because I can give away scratching the surface of the MBA program and it will change people's lives. I get people all the time that say, I haven't joined your MBA program, but just watching your YouTube channel has fundamentally changed my life. And that means everything to me. And to be fair, that's fine, that's great. If you don't need more help, fantastic. And there are other people that want it and can afford it. And there's a reason why most people join the MBA program. Just throw up the QR code. There it is. There's a reason why most people who join the MBA program ROI before they're done. And generally speaking, about 20 to 30% see a return on their investment in weeks. Because of that value, because of how this is all built. Because we're updating the information on a daily basis, and you can do that. Because we're making all this stuff interactive, and you can do that. Because every single lesson comes with executable documentation, so me as a business owner, I can buy that knowledge and then install it in my team. Why is somebody buying that information product? Are they trying to become you? Or are they trying to solve a problem in their business? And to be fair, it doesn't have to be up to you to make that determination. The information products that allow somebody to either level themselves up or buy knowledge to install into their team to level the entire business up. Those are the people that make millions. Man, I'm getting heated up here. Hold on a second. Hydration is essential. Give me 30 seconds of some music here real quick, just while we wet the whistle. So the last thing we're going to talk about today is probably my favorite part of everything, the monetization strategy. How are we going to actually make money from this? Now, there are really 3 different ways that people go about doing it. First is just direct sales. Hey, I recorded some videos and I've got some executional documents and I'm gonna make it available for anybody to buy. And hey, look, that can work. I know a lot of people that are making good money doing that. That can be successful. I did that myself, and in a space of a couple of months, I made like 100 grand. It was great. I also learned a very big lesson while doing that though, and something that I solved when I opened Disruptor School was that some folks didn't have the money to buy the whole thing, but they were willing to pay a monthly price to have access to everything. When we allowed a subscription model to take place, folks were in there on average from 6 to 10 months. It was $500 a month. The course was $2,000. I was making $3,000 to $5,000 on subscription versus $2,000 by somebody just buying basically what was the swipe file. And when I opened up that subscription, I also expanded the community aspect. Some of those people have been in that community for years. I reduced the price of that course. I put that course on discount every now and again, and it still sells great, and it's very valuable, and the information is basically evergreen, so it's fantastic. But the point is, when you look at the options, the idea of buying that course kind of doesn't make any sense anymore. And, full disclosure, I've kind of shut the doors on Disruptor School because we're at capacity, and now I'm just bringing everybody into the MBA program, and you're like, wow, okay, so it's $2,000 for the course, but if I pay a little bit more on a payment plan, which is basically a short-term subscription, I can get access to everything. And if I'm gonna make my money back in a couple of weeks, maybe if I break it up into 3 payments and I can break even at the end of each payment period, then it basically costs me nothing, and by the end of it, I'm massively profitable. think about the way that you're pricing yourself so that you're actually not just trying to take what you want out of it. Make it accessible to other individuals. And to be completely fair, I sold the thing full price first. That's fine. But I learned a lot of lessons around the monetization. What I sold for $100,000, I was able to sell the next year for $250,000 to fewer people. Because I was working on a payment method that ultimately incorporated community and growing value, and something that ultimately allowed people to own the experience in a way that was far more interactive. And I was able to spend less time creating new stuff, because if I went in once a week, I was making new stuff every single week that more people had value from. And I was able to save time while doing it, because that course took me a lot of time and energy. But in the other version of doing things, basically I went on once a week for like an hour, 90 minutes max. And I basically just leveled up the value in a way where I was answering people's questions, so it was immediately actionable. I never had to guess what people wanted. I literally was like, ask me a question. Boom, here's your answer. Open up your ad account. Let's solve it. And now that's what we do every single week in Facebook Ads MBA program. The next thing that I want to talk about is bundling and upselling. And this is one of the biggest mistakes I see most people make when they make their course, or they make their flagship offer. They're like, I've got 4 modules and each one of them's got like 3 courses in it, and it's gonna be super awesome. I'm gonna sell for like $2,000. All right, let me offer you a potential difference in the way you're pricing this. Instead of selling the whole thing for $2,000 and having to wait to finish the entire thing before you make money, what if you decide to sell each one of those little modules individually as you made them? What if each module was like $650? What if each module was like $799? And then when you finish the second module, well, you can buy both of them for $799, or if you want to buy them together, I'll give it to you for $1350. Now when I release the third one, I can sell that third one to people that have bought the previous one for like 20% off. Okay, now I'm getting people interested. And then when I finish the fourth one, I can have pack 1 for $1350, and I can have pack 2 for $1350. You can buy the whole thing for $2,000. So I got to that final price point by releasing things over the period, and then bundling those things, and then making packages that made things work for people. And then as that goes on, you kind of make the ability to buy any one of them not available anymore. So you can only buy the bundles, and then, okay, well, we're now gonna move on to our like community aspect. We're adding more value to it. I'm actually not just selling. If you want in, you gotta buy the whole thing, because we're now gonna start making a reoccurring revenue process off the back end of everybody that's jumped in here. Now you got paid to make the thing. You got paid more money for your time while doing it, because instead of selling it for basically $500 unit net rate, you're selling it for like $800, or marking it off to something like $675, and then eventually you got yourself down to $500. You're getting people to basically give you installment payments above and beyond the manufacturer's suggested retail price that's at the end. And as people go along with you, you can offer them discounts on the next thing to basically just indoctrinate them, let them know what's going on. And as soon as you open up that community of like, hey, look, everybody, we're getting more things, do you know who's gonna jump into that? Soon, like immediately, like the day it drops. All the people that have been along with you the entire time. And reward them, offer it to them for like what I did, offer it to them for cheaper. What I did when I started Disruptor schools, I initially made that available for like $100. And I got like 20, 30 people in, so it was really diehard. Everybody was loving it, and it was great. And to be fair, like, if I had 20 people for like $100, I was making $2,000 a month off of people that already paid me, and I had to show up for a call once a week, so that's $500 a week. And at the time I was charging something like $200 an hour for consulting. So I immediately 2.5x my value per hour. So then it started to raise the price. I said, hey, that $100 and 80% off offer, I'm now offering it for 50% off for everybody that's buying the bundles and folks that are now discovering. Once I took the individual modules off and I raised the base rate from getting it from like say $700, $800 to now you have to pay $1350 or $1350, or you can join this thing at 50% off for $250 after you buy the whole thing. I basically 2.5x the value of everybody as they joined. Now I was making somewhere close to $1,000 to $1,200 every time I showed up. Then when I got rid of the individual bundles and you had to buy the whole thing, this was $500. I started to be earning somewhere along the lines of $4,000 to $5,000 an hour to show up for that thing, because all I was doing was selling you all the information that people paid you to make along the way, and then access and feedback and value in a way that allowed me to make exponentially more money. Remember, originally it's like $200 an hour, $250 an hour. At the end of it, it was $4,000 to $5,000 an hour. That's a 20x lift on my value of my time to show up and basically do less work. And after that, every single one of those calls meant that, like, if you bought the course, you didn't even get the extra information. So if you want to actually get all the extra information and high value, you stick around. And those people stuck around for, like I said, 6 to 10 months. And I have some people that have stuck around for years. And ultimately, that's what led into the Facebook Ads MBA program, because I then packed in all of that additional information and basically redid the same thing. But now it was like thousands and thousands of dollars. And to be fair, like, it's a drop in the bucket of what it's actually worth. So now what we have in the Facebook Ads MBA program is the standard program where you get all the pre-recorded stuff, and every week we have our call, and the modules are updated on a weekly basis with new video educational pieces, new written material, there's quizzes, there's ebooks, there's all sorts of stuff that are added on a consistent basis. Plus, there's basically a little bulletin board between every single little piece of education so that people get to interact with each other and learn from each other. Then we have the premium version where you get to join our private actual mastermind group and get to be a present member of all of the weekly calls every single week. And if you want more above and beyond that, we even have a little mentorship where it's like you get to be in a Slack group, direct line of communication with me, regular calls and feedback. And now it's getting to the point of, like, the price that I'm putting on my hour is so far above and beyond what I would ever make it publicly available that it makes no sense to make it publicly available. And it's honestly like, I could take the time to enjoy my life with my daughter and my wife, or I could make a little bit extra money and not. And to be fair, like, the business did over $1 million last year. And I shared this in the first video of 2024. I took home over $1 million last year. The month of March, we had a 6-figure EBITDA month. I don't need to sell my time for $2,500 an hour. I'm building instead of holding myself to these little nuggets. And then once you get out of doing all this little stuff, the information product allows you to do so much more. And along the way of having the high ticket offering, I've had people want to work with me in a different way. So I've gotten equity deals, and I've become a partner in businesses, and I've been able to join other projects. And I've really been able to take being good at something to, I can explain that to somebody in a way where it's valuable above and beyond my explanation, to, I now built a community of people that found value in it. So I'm now making reoccurring revenue where my price per hour has gone up by 20x, to now I've created an entire business model around providing people the various levels of access that they can, and everybody at every level gets compounding value, and there's literally no way anybody could ever rip me off. And I think that ultimately brings me to the final point that I want to talk about today, and I've hammered it over and over again, but it's this: protect your content. Knowledge is power, but it's also completely commoditized. You're not the only one that knows what you know, and somebody's giving it away on YouTube, probably for free. What makes it valuable is that you take knowledge and turn it into actionable things. Actionable data has value above and beyond the data itself. There's a reason why, like, ROAS is bullshit, because, like, okay, cool, here's a vanity metric, what am I gonna do with it? I have no idea. There's a reason why MER is basically useless, right? You look at MER, oh, it's a 3, what are we gonna do tomorrow? Oh, I don't know, let me dive into a bunch of data. So what you're telling me is, there's a nice number, but you have no idea what to do. It's useless data. But when I give you the blended cost per acquisition and the lifetime value of a customer and the cash flow projection, and then what our profitable scaling margin is, I can tell you how much more we can spend on an average daily basis across our entire marketing budget. You can just go and crank up the volume, because it's incredibly actionable information. If your information is actionable and it's protected because access to you is part of it in some way that works on a one-to-many basis, then you'll never be able to be pirated. And the amount of money that you will earn will go from thousands to millions. Now, before we go, I want to say, first off, there's a lot of programs for this kind of stuff. The most popular thing these days is school. I think it's got some upsides. I think it has some downsides. There's a few core tenets, what we talked about here, that basically doesn't allow. I'm a big fan of Kartra. It's not the sexiest thing. It's not the most expensive. It's not the cheapest, but I'll tell you what, it works. And I integrate Slack and Facebook groups. And one of the things I love about Kartra is it has free video hosting. I have literally hundreds of hours and thousands of pages saved on Kartra for free. I pay like $100 a month. And last month I earned over $100,000 on it. Like, what are you doing? By the way, yes, full disclosure, I'm a digital marketer. I have a affiliate link down below if you want to save like 40% on Kartra, which I wish I had when I joined up. Oh well. I'm gonna leave you here with a couple of sound bites today. And if nothing else, take this, write it on a sticky note, put it on your wall, and have this be the guiding light for your decision making moving forward with your information products. First one, transform knowledge into action. The real value of learning comes from implementation. Number two, don't just share information, share transformation. It's one thing to know something. It's something very different to actually prove that it matters. Number three, in a sea of content, authenticity is your lighthouse. There's a dark, dark world out there full of all sorts of things. And to be fair, I think we're all pretty well aware of folks who kind of bullshit their way through everything. When you tell your story and you're vulnerable and you are honest and deal with integrity, which I think is a core foundation of how I operate, you can't lose. Number four, your story is your strongest syllabus. The point is simple. If you've done it and you can teach me how to do it, then I can teach anybody else. And the ability to own information and pass it on and to take action on it, that is how we change the world. Number five, education is not just about consumption. It's about creation and contribution. It's a big difference between I went to college and I have a PhD. If you're not contributing to the knowledge, you're missing out. And the last thing I want to leave you with today, monetization follows value, not the other way around. If you can be easily pirated, you don't deserve more. And if you show me in the way that you've built your information products that you don't care about me, why am I gonna care about you? Nobody cares. Why am I gonna care about you? And I think what I'm trying to drive home more than anything today is that people wildly overcomplicate this. People also think way too highly of themselves. And they don't think about the end user as the person that's actually buying from them. And I think the most valuable lesson that I hope to give you out of this is that I've done it. I've told you my entire story. I've given you every step of the way. I've quite literally laid out the dollar amounts and the time and the strategy and the wins and the losses. I've helped plenty of other people do the same thing. And I'm giving it to you for free today. And if you want to know more stuff, and you want to learn how to amplify this opportunity and grow your skills above and beyond this, again, there's the QR code for the Facebook Ads MBA program. Had hundreds of people come into this thing. Nobody has ever asked for their money back. And as far as I'm concerned, that means it's legit. Anybody can sell shit. Nobody ever talks about the returns. I get a lot of shit being talked to me by drop shippers constantly. They're just like, look, dude, you don't build your own business. You're not doing anything. You're selling a course. Let me talk to you about it in this way. I constantly get shit talked in public by a lot of individuals, and they're like, man, you just sell a course, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Let me talk to you about it in this way. Most of the people that I know that have real problems with what I'm saying have one very, very particular thing in common. They're like, we can't afford to run our business that way. We can't afford to wait for cash flow. What they're saying is, we don't care enough about our customer to make a product good enough that people want to come back. We have not put the time and effort into our business model to use it as a way to secure future cash flow at a profit. If your business is basically just buying something from somebody and then selling to somebody else that doesn't have the link on the internet that you do for an upsell, and then you never expect to see them again, that's fine. You can make good money doing that. But me, every single person that buys from me has the opportunity to have a relationship. And the fact that, again, hundreds of people do the Facebook Ads MBA program and millions of dollars have come into the business. The fact that nobody's asking for their money back. The fact that there are like little clubs of students that around the world that have found their way to making things happen. Like if you join the MBA program, there's like a women's group, there's like a European media buyer like Slack channel, there's like a WhatsApp group for everybody in the Middle East and in India. Like there are clubs, there are groups, there are people that are getting together above and beyond anything I could ever imagine. That means that there's a reason that they're doing that. And the reason they're doing that isn't because I put up 30 minutes of information on video and attach it to a Notion doc and then some other person bought it and is slinging it for pennies on the dollar in Instagram DMs. And I'm not losing the opportunity to make that money. Instead, I'm gaining the opportunity to earn that trust and those relationships. And with that being said, that's what I hope for you. And I think this girl is waking up. Yep. Hi, Charlie. Yeah, so beautiful things. And I'm super excited, by the way. This is like one of the last videos I'm recording in this studio before showing you my new place in New York City. Because, oh, by the way, selling a course has allowed me the opportunity to get a brownstone in Chelsea. And I can't wait to show you what it looks like. This is gonna be super fun. And if you're in New York City, let me know. I'll probably be there by the time you see this. Yeah, life is beautiful. Like, I was a heroin addict that got fired from every job, an inch from death. And now every single day is about making people happy, providing joy and confidence and opportunity. And you out there watching this video, you make it happen. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Because my wildest dreams are a fraction of what my daily life is today. And you made that possible. So, all right, I'm getting all verklempt over here. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
And for those of you wondering what I got at the last bookstore, well, we got the essentials. Until next time, I'll see you on the internet. Bye!